Hawkins is on the edge. The Upside Down is cooking up its final hit and time is running out. I watched every frame, analyzed every hint, and now I am ready to announce here are my boldest and maybe craziest predictions for the Stranger Things finale. Get ready, we are diving into the final battle. Warning right away, everything said next is my vision and analysis of theories. These aren't official spoilers, but if I hit the mark, you heard it here first. Let's start with what we know for sure. The first minutes of the series will take us back to the origins. The Duffers confirmed Will Byers will be the central figure of Season 5. So since it all started with Will, it will end with him. After the events of Season 4, where he was kind of in the shadows, Will finally steps into the spotlight. He feels Vecna, and this connection is getting more dangerous. But what about the others? I think they will show us an illusion of everyday life. The so-called calm before the storm. The heroes are trying to cope with trauma. They will show us Dustin going through Max's arc from Season 4. His grief for Eddie might push him away from his friends. Maybe he even breaks up with Susie. But knowing Dustin in a critical moment, he will return to the team. His arc is a path from the pain of loss to acceptance. I think they will also show us the tension between Nancy, Jonathan, and Steve. In Season 4, we saw Nancy's doubts about her choice. But honestly, Steve doesn't deserve to run around with a broken heart again. It is time to put a period to this. Also, I have bad feelings about Mike and Eleven. There will be a chasm between them. Elle is fully immersed in training. She is sure she is the only one who can stop Vecna. Mike will be torn between fear for Elle and horror for Will, who is becoming part of the upside-down hive mind again. It is interesting that scenes will take place around the radio station. I think this isn't accidental, since we know music helps against Vecna, but it seems to me that eventually this won't be enough. In a city captured by the military, this is the only way to coordinate actions between groups scattered across Hawkins. But that isn't all. Did you see the shots with the WSQK radio station and the weird van with a satellite? I have a theory why this is needed. Let's think like the enemy. The Mind Flayer is an ancient cold intelligence. Will he really allow our heroes to just sit at the radio station and broadcast music that destroys his control? Of course not. Imagine this scene: our heroes set up the equipment, prepare to launch the signal to the whole city. Suddenly the music cuts off. That same terrible clock sound or monster screeching starts coming from the speakers. The lights start flickering. We remember from Season 3 that the Mind Flayer can move through electricity and tech. He won't just destroy the station, he will infect it. Station WSQK will turn into a trap, into a beacon for monsters that lures people in instead of saving them. When the station is lost, the team has no choice left. The stationary tower is gone. They need a mobile transmitter. This forces them to move to Plan B. If they can't broadcast the signal safely from our world, they have to drive the signal source right into the heart of the enemy. They are driving there because in our world they were backed into a dead end. They have to connect to the network from the inside, while the Mind Flayer controls the airwaves from the outside. Let's talk about Holly Wheeler, Mike and Nancy's younger sister. All hints, including episode titles, point to her repeating Will's fate. Vecna picks children not by accident. Maybe he is creating his elite, or Holly is the perfect bait to finally get to Will. Eventually, Vecna needs her. I think he will send for Holly, not a regular monster, but that same smart Demogorgon. You can understand this during the scene in the new teaser where Karen hides from the monster underwater. I am not surprised why Vecna chooses Holly specifically. Judging by the fact that in the 4th season, Karen and Ted's relationship was going through a crisis in Season 5, this situation will escalate. Holly will feel this, which makes her especially vulnerable. This way, Vecna can penetrate her mind, playing a friend to her. Eventually, this will lead to tragedy. My prediction: during Holly's abduction, Ted will die. It will be ironic and tragic. The person who didn't care gives his life trying to protect his family. Unfortunately, the vision Nancy spoke about in Season 4 will start coming true. By the way, regarding visions, I have a feeling Will isn't just losing consciousness from time to time for no reason. What if he sees visions of future events? It is possible, but I still still like the idea that these are distorted visions more. What if Vecna manipulates our team this way, eventually putting the puzzle pieces together to lead our heroes to a battle at the military base? Our heroes not realizing this will literally lead Will into Vecna's clutches. Just if you watch the trailer, it becomes obvious that Nancy arrives at her home to protect her family after Will passes out at the radio station. What if Vecna specifically showed this vision so Nancy would see what happened to her family? It seems to me that using Will Vecna will lead everyone by the nose like it was in the second season. So our team will clearly look for the wrong solutions. The situation will be complicated by the military too. For the world, Hawkins is a quarantine zone, but for Lieutenant Colonel Sullivan and Dr. K, it is a testing ground. 11 for them is not a child, but a weapon. Here the Cold War context turns on. I think the military plan will be even crazier than Brenner's was. They might try to subdue the energy of the Upside Down. Exactly this military interference and their experiments might inadvertently speed up Vecna's recovery. Our team finds out about their plans. It is not excluded that this will be through Will's vision. This would be perfect to distract 11, who will try to stop the scientists, but unfortunately likely won't make it in time. As a result, the gates between the Upside Down and our world will finally fall. And so we move to the most interesting part. The physical battle at the military base will be just a distraction. The real war will happen in the mind. Vecna will eventually take Will's consciousness, or Will himself will take this risk to say, protect his loved ones. Maybe Vecna will promise not to touch them for now. This explains why Mike and Joyce remain alive. It will seem to us that this is the end, but don't forget about one redhead Trojan horse. Max's consciousness is also inside Vecna's mind, and she clearly isn't wasting time there. As I said before, they can combine their powers, maybe even connect the consciousnesses of other victims too, and try to find Vecna's weak spots. We know Vecna, when he was human, was quite cruel, but if we take into account the play The First Shadow, we understand that it wasn't always like that. I advise you to watch the video on my channel about this play. That way you will understand what I mean. I won't dwell on it in detail. So Henry Creel wasn't born evil. He was just unlucky to be at the wrong place at the wrong time. He had a chance to be good, but the Mind Flayer and Brenner did everything so that wouldn't happen. In Henry Creel's story, there was that last hope that could save him. It is Patty Newby, and according to information from those who watched the play in London, she actually survived. Moreover, Vecna knows about this. But what if Max and Will manage to find this fragment from Henry's biography? Then the question arises, how can this be transmitted to our world? Here, Eleven's abilities come in, as she will try to rip Will's consciousness out of Vecna. The bathtub scene in the trailer hints at this, and the shot where we see a warm hug, where it becomes clear that Will is here already in his body. So Will passes the obtained information to 11, but there is one problem. Hawkins is closed, so finding Patty is almost impossible. Here Callie or 8 comes onto the stage. Let me remind you, she is a master of illusions. Callie creates a hyper-realistic illusion of Patty Newby before Vecna, based on information from Will. Also, Joyce can help us, as she obviously knew Patty since she went to school with her, and moreover, Patty was the stepsister of her deceased lover, Bob Newby. Maybe Joyce even has some photos. Eventually, this will lead to a moment similar to the scene with Billy. We will see Vecna not as a monster, but as a broken human. Maybe under the influence of the Patty illusion, he will want to stop. But it will be too late, because the main villain isn't him. The main villain is the Mind Flayer, the entity of Dimension X. Vecna thought he controlled him, but he was just a puppet. Vecna might try to fix the mistake, maybe even sacrifice himself to close the rift, or give 11 a chance to do it. Evil never considers itself evil, and Henry believed he was saving the world. His finale is the realization of his own terrible mistake, but our team's problems won't end there. At a minimum, Vecna's death won't close the rifts in our time. Along with this, agree that it wouldn't be interesting to watch our team fight literally black smoke, The viewer needs an actor, needs eyes to look into. What if the Mind Flayer takes control of Will? Just imagine this scene. 11 against Will. This raises the stakes to the heavens. By the way, about the Upside Down, they promise to reveal its essence. It would be logical since many people, including me, once confuse it with Dimension X. My understanding of the difference came to me only after getting familiar with the lore of the play The First Shadow. I am more than sure that the Upside Down is not just a dark copy of Hawkins. In my opinion, it is a kind of bridge between our world and Dimension X. By the way, the penultimate episode of Season 5 is called exactly that, The Bridge. So the main heroes who all this time tried to destroy specifically Vecna will eventually understand that it is more important to find a way to destroy the Upside Down itself, which helps monsters get to our world. If this is so, then this would explain the scene with the huge splash of blue energy that went through the Upside Down. This could be a mirror scene when 11 finally destroys the bridge between worlds. Are we ready for such a finale? To lose those with whom it all began? Honestly, I am not sure. But Stranger Things was never a simple fairy tale, and the price of victory here is always high. And what do you think? Will 11 and Will be able to save themselves by destroying the bridge, or will they have to sacrifice themselves to close the path to evil forever? Let's make a deal. When you finish watching the entire series, come back here and tell me whether I was right or not. If you liked this theory, support me with a like and a subscription. See you soon.